I'm going to ask you to step in and get it all formed. At some point, we have to decide, and more importantly, our students have to decide, are you going to show us the level of wonder, the level of interest in getting these questions, that you can resolve these things yourself? And when you feel you've really resolved it to the best of your ability, reflect upon that. Think about how that best of your ability really, what that best of your ability amounts to. And then, yeah, you're never done. You're going to move on to the next task. You're going to take what you gain from here, hopefully, to be able to help you to do more. Now, I shared a lot of stuff, again, that I feel is very, very similar. These are two other ways of looking at inquiry, and they both make sure the sense of questioning or the sense of thinking about it all are there at the center. I have, for those of you who want to go into the presentation, this is actually a specific method we use at ISKL for giving credit within the slideshow itself. And thanks very much for everybody who's talked about the value of being able to get those names right, to get that credit right. And it will link to more extensive information. These are both Canadian sources, by the way, who've adopted the inquiry model. And then going back to the inquiry method itself, how it's defined more than any other way is by this concept of questions. Inquiry-based learning talks about, and again, most of you guys already know this, so I'm kind of trying to push through as quickly as I can. The concepts of compelling questions that kind of are the central theme of what you want to get to, and these sometimes you'll hear, oh, you should have the teachers provide the compelling questions, and the students only provide the supporting questions. Or you scaffold it, and you see how it goes. But you've got questions that I can see as research questions and questions to build structure. And as soon as I'm talking about maybe the research questions are the compelling question, the big one, and the questions to build structure are the organizational ones, I'm talking about themes and outlines. And I feel, honestly, that's what inquiry-based learning is asking you to focus on. And again, going back to the nagging of the 8-step research process, the idea of narrowing the question isn't easy. So I did want to quickly show it, because if you think it'll work, the focusing the research question, it's only going to show the top of it, and that's actually enough. Because it shows that who, what, when, where, and why. It's a wonderful way to ask your students to, let's go through a process here. You've got a main question. How can you sharpen it? How can you narrow it? And you can even do this sequentially. You can ask the first person, okay, narrow it by a group of people. Now that we've got this theme, let's say it was use of social media. First person looks at the group of people. Second people looks at, okay, what aspect of social media or what particular device? Third person asks when, under what circumstances is it being used? And then the where and why follow from there. And all that can be worked through. Simple little assignment you could do. I'm going to go back to the slideshow now. And organizing the evidence, if you could just pick that up. And it's going to be really wacky, because I do the same thing with students. Just 3 different strategies to organize topics. And again, you guys have probably all done this. 5 W's, compare and contrast, cause and effect. Back to the slideshow. There's evidence I've offered here, academic integrity. And again, it's been talked about before. There's a specific case study if you want to look at it. And talking about evaluation and reflection. I hope reflection, more than anything else, is just a process of all we do. We give ourselves a little bit of time to breathe, a little bit of time to breathe. That's all it really takes. And then, yeah, if you want to look in more depth, there's the resources again, all in the same area. And thank you very much.
went out for presenting, I very eagerly replied, not envisioning that I was going to be on a mini TED Talk stage in front of all of you. So thank you for getting me out of my comfort zone, and damn you for getting me out of my comfort zone. I want to talk today, it actually connects really well with what Steve was talking about in terms of the researcher inquiry cycle. And I'm really intrigued by the idea of sparking inquiry, and I have found a passion in using primary sources to do that sparking. I believe that we're all innately curious people. I think our students are curious. I don't think the creation of questions is necessarily a difficult task, but to provide our students with provocations that allow them to sort of wonder and sort of that then dig deeper into what they're curious about. So, let's see. Why use primary sources? As you know, primary sources are objects or sources of information that are created at the time of study, right? So they can be manuscripts, maps, letters, film, cartoon, but what I'm going to primarily talk about today is photographs. I love photographs. I love visual imagery. And I think culturally right now in our time in history, images speak very strongly to our students. Also, I think it's important that when we are showing images, that we are modeling really good research ourselves, that we don't Google search images, because you can come up with things that are completely inaccurate. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the sources that I use. So why use primary sources? One is the construction of knowledge. A lot of times when you're looking at a primary source, you're lacking this inadequate information, so you become a detective, right? So you might be using your prior knowledge to construct knowledge on your observation and on the questions that you're going to be answering later. So it's the construction of knowledge. It's investigating history with a building of the idea of the continuum of history, right? That this photograph was taken at a particular time for a particular audience. And one of the questions I like to use with the students is, how would this image look today, right? That was then, this is now. So this idea of we can create a timeline, we can do a text-based timeline, but the artifacts and primary sources help us understand the change in history. And I also love that what I'm going to share with you teaches our students to look closely and slowly. It really slows down the process of observation, where you're spending time with an image, and you're spending time having it become part of you. And doing it with students, I'm able to see just how impactful that can be. So learning to look closely. The aha moment comes from, I actually have to credit a former colleague who I collaborated quite a bit with in 5th grade. She's a great teacher. She actually had worked internationally in Ecuador and was a person who we really were in sync in terms of how we thought and worked. And she called it the aha moment. So when students discover, after looking at an image, we'll come up with questions, we'll come up with wonderings, what do we want to know more about the photograph? And then when they see what the photograph might actually be, it sometimes busts their assumptions. And it's that beautiful moment of learning, like, what I thought is not correct, and I can correct it, and I can learn from it. And I'm a big believer that we learn through failure, and these aha moments, you don't need to label it failure, but it is that breaking of assumption. And then multiple perspectives. The way that I've shared primary sources with my students is always done collaboratively. So you're talking with other students about, other people about what you see in the image. What I see might be very different than what Kate would see in an image, right? And also, what the images you're providing provide multiple perspectives and are actually can be very, very empathy building. You can bring forward voices and stories and images that our students may not necessarily have gotten in the traditional canon of history. So, how to create questions from primary sources. I was very fortunate a few summers back to be selected as a participant at the Library of Congress Summer Teacher Institute. Has anyone else attended it? Okay, I know it's very state-based, and I know what I'm going to share with you is definitely US-based, but I think it's applicable internationally, I also think it's very applicable to any division at every grade level. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. But I was selected for a session that focused on the civil rights movement. And it's probably one of the most powerful PD that I went to, both as a lover of story and humanity and also as a librarian. So they were in the process of digitizing the Rosa Parks collection that had just been donated by her family and her friends from Detroit. And if you go to the Library of Congress website today, this is up. The actual collection will be opening on December 5th, the exhibition. So it took that long to digitize all of it. But she, for those of you who may not know who Rosa Parks is, she is the person, one of the people she was a civil rights activist prior to her refusal to give up her seat on the bus in Montgomery, Alabama, and then spurred the Montgomery bus boycott. But we got to hear about her from people that she had known. So it was truly a primary source in a lot of ways. So what I'm gonna